All right, guys, this is Walt Bayliss. I have a very, very special guest with me tonight. This is the bonus session. You know, if you've watched any of the other affiliate training programs that we've done over the last week or 2 weeks, as we've interviewed successful affiliates, one of the questions that I asked them all over the interview is if you had to choose just one source of traffic, what would that source be? And without question, without doubt, that the resounding answer has come back that Facebook is the preferred source of traffic for affiliates in our space. So when we're talking about Facebook traffic, who do we get the best advice from? Well, my answer is we go to the person that is the reference point for everybody else. If there's anybody in this space that the affiliates, the top people in our industry refer to, it's our special guest tonight, a good friend of mine and somebody that I've seen absolutely dominate with Facebook marketing and make an absolute killing. He runs an agency and has clients doing the same thing. And it is my privilege and my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. David Schloss. David, how you going, man?
Thanks, man. That was one hell of an intro. I love that. Thank you.
Oh, well, make sure I keep it up there for you, man. David, I'm so impressed with what you've been able to achieve, man. Like, so just a bit of reference for the people watching. In San Diego, there was so much talk. We were there. You know, there was so much talk about paid traffic, and you know, there was 400 or 500 people in the room, however many people there was. And you know, there's some big names there. There's 7-figure earners and above. And when we talk about Facebook traffic, dude, they turn to you.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. It's I put my stamp on running Facebook ads a couple of years ago. You know, back when it was really starting to take off. I would say 2012, 2013, it started to show up on people's radars to the point where a lot of internet marketers decided it's time to start running traffic to my business. And Facebook's been the primary driver for a lot of the people that I do business with and also a lot of the people that I'm friends with in the internet marketing, online marketing space. And it just so happens that over the last year to 18 months, that has been the sole reason people come to me. They want to know what is the latest and greatest tips and tricks in running their campaigns. And sometimes they just don't want to do it themselves. So they just come to me and say, what can I do with you to deliver the most profitable yet most amazing campaign I could possibly put together? And that is why people come to me.
That's so cool. And David, so thank you so much for taking the time out tonight to be able to speak to some people. So the pretense of what we're talking about is, as an affiliate, you know, when I look at Facebook as the behemoth of traffic that it is, what makes Facebook such a good environment for me to develop a marketing campaign on? What is it that makes it so attractive?
It's the fact that your audience is already there, right? So a lot of the people in our space have gravitated so much to Facebook because of all the chatter behind it, you know, because of the fact that it works so well for a lot of us. The audience is already there. The reason why it's so difficult for a lot of people is they don't know how to get those people to look at their ads, how to get them to take a click and go to what they want to show them. And so your audience is there. They're looking at everything, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of banners, there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of discussion, and people just get confused. So you might run a campaign, I might run one, there might be 20 other people, and we could all be promoting the same thing. And so the problem becomes, who's going to grab the attention of this one person who may be the biggest affiliate you've ever had or the best customer you've ever had, or, you know, however you want to position it. Everyone is vying for the same space.
Right.
So we're all in the same thing. We're all going after this together. We all love Facebook, but now it's becoming who's going to be the one that really stands out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've run stacks of Facebook traffic, you know, in my career, and as you know, we have somebody in our team that is dedicated down that space. But you know, there's also been a lot of campaigns where I've set up and run Teespring, or you know, just traffic to different pages or whatever, and barely broke even or made a loss. And that story is not uncommon, where people have put up, you know, they see an affiliate offer, they say, wow, I'm going to make a fortune. They go and grab that link, they put it up into Facebook advertising, and they watch their credit card bill go boom, and you know, get zero sales. What do you think makes the difference between a winning campaign and an expensive one?
A lot of it stems from your targeting, but it also stems from how you're positioning the offer. right? So let's first dig into the targeting side, right? So when you're doing, let's say, a promotion in the internet marketing space, let's say I have a product coming out and it deals with how to run Facebook ads, right? So the issue then becomes, who is best suited to buy this product? Is it just going to be anyone who likes a marketer in the online marketing space? I mean, you're basically going to blanket the industry, but most often than not, that's not going to be your key demographic, right? It might be a small business owner who's run ads before but hasn't quite been successful. And how can you find that person? Well, your ad copy has to reflect it. You know, have you started with Facebook ads before but have not been successful? Let me teach you how to scale your campaigns to be most profitable today, right? So you're going to pinpoint exactly who it is you want to click on your ad. Now it becomes an issue of, is your banner going to be enticing enough for them to want to click over? You know, it's a step-by-step process. Your ad copy has to reflect who you want. Your banner has to be engaging enough to generate a click. And then obviously there's a whole nother dynamic on what's the other side to get them to take an action.
And landing pages, which we'll cover in just a second. If we break this down, mate, so there's YouTube videos on how to set up, how to get into Facebook ad. If you've never put up a Facebook ad before in your life, you can go and jump onto YouTube or even just, type it into Facebook itself, and they have a really structured walkthrough. There's Ads Manager. You can click on it. You can be up creating an ad in a few seconds. When we're creating an ad, let me start with the very, very basics. What sort of ad should I create? Should it be a click to a website? Should it be page engagement? As an affiliate, I've got a product, it's not mine. I want to make a sale. What kind of ad should I set up?
So it really depends on a variety of things, right? So let's say you have a fairly large email list, right? This is before you even choose the objective of what your campaign is going to be, right? We all want conversions, but sometimes you need data before you can start running a conversions campaign. So let's say you have a large email list, let's just say 40,000 people, and you upload it into Facebook as a custom audience, but it happens to be that only 10,000 of those people have given you an email address that is associated with Facebook. So you have 1/4 of your audience. Well, you still have those 10,000 people to do all your initial tests, right? And because they're familiar with who you are, you can right out the gate run a website conversions campaign because these people know who you are and you know that they will take an action, right? So when you're setting up the campaign, even though the audience is small and you know they're going to take some sort of action, you could set it up to be optimized for conversions so that you could see, okay, this list is as engaged as I want it to be. They're clicking over to where I want them to go, and they're ending up generating a sale or a registration or whatever it may be. Now, if you don't have a custom audience pixel on this property or whatever you're promoting, let's just say it starts at 0 and you don't have a large email list, you're basically starting from ground zero. You need to create an audience of people who seem interested in what it is you have to promote. You don't want to run a website conversions campaign when you've never generated a conversion before.
Right.
Because then Facebook is optimizing for 0. They're not optimizing for the 50 conversions you've had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a custom audience and a conversion tracking pixel, and obviously you'd have to do a little research on how all those work. But if your conversion tracking has generated X amount of conversions in the past for a campaign, you want to be able to optimize for that. But if not, you have to generate clicks. So if you're starting from 0, you run a clicks to website campaign and you season a pixel. It's basically you're running all these different audiences to this pixel and you're seeing who is actually clicking through, who's clicking over to the next page or generating a checkout. And once you have that data, then you flip it over to a website conversions campaign. A lot of people make the mistake. They start with the other one first.
So they see that in the list. I want to optimize for website conversions, but if they've, as you said, if there's never been a conversion, then Facebook is guessing. And Facebook advertising is smart. I remember Don Wilson talking about the fact that Facebook want to give you as much traffic as possible. They want to make it work for you. Why? Because they want you to keep spending. They want you to be successful. So they want you to keep spending, but you've got to help them by, as you said, seasoning it. For anybody that's watching, if you're just getting started and you know, terms like conversion pixels and that kind of stuff are scary for you. Don't let that stop you listening to David's wisdom here, because those kind of things are simple, and I can guarantee you that putting a conversion pixel on something is as easy as copy and paste. So it's not a difficult thing. Listen through to what David's talking about in the way that we construct these campaigns. Don't switch off, because it's an important fact that some of that terminology you can find on Wikipedia, you can find on YouTube, you can find in Google. Don't get lost in it. Let's just keep with the structure. So if you've got a seasoned audience, whether that be an email list that you've already had developed, or you've been driving traffic to a page already and been keeping a track of that, that'll give you a seasoned audience, and you can run a conversion campaign. Otherwise, we're going to run a clicks to website campaign and start to build that season. David, have I heard you correctly there?
Yes, and one of the things that not a lot of individuals talk about when running a Facebook campaign is you need to track the bounce rate of the traffic going to that page. Okay.
Tell me about that.
So just like how everyone installs Google Analytics on their properties when they first start a domain, a lot of people forget that bounce rate is basically the equivalent of whether or not a person who lands on your page is truly interested in what it is that you are running, right? Mm-hmm. So if I send 100 visitors to my page about why they should buy X product, and I notice that 50% of them are bouncing, they're leaving the site upon entry, I may be targeting the wrong audience here. And the only way you would know is having, well, A, tracking links for everything that you are targeting, and B, well, diving into your analytics. And a lot of people forget, and I've been a person who's done this before. I mean, a lot of us have made this mistake. Yeah. We run an ad and we forget to put the analytics on the page. We forget to put the tracking. We just go ahead, set up the tracking link for the ad, but we never set up tracking for the page. And so we never quite see the bounce rate. So if you're sending hundreds and hundreds of people a day to a site and you're getting a 75% bounce rate, one, the traffic is not interested in what you have to offer. And two, how are you going to decipher those other 25, 50, 100 people who are interested when your pixel's being built up of people who don't care? So you need to be able to look into your data and go, is this audience truly interested in what I have to offer? And if they're only bouncing 25 to 35% of the time, that's normal. So you're on to something where people are really interested in what you have to say, and you might want to scale that type of campaign. No one really talks about
really
that.
It's really interesting to think about that, because 10 seconds ago we were talking about Facebook being a learning platform and wanting to send you to the right kind of traffic. If you're driving traffic that's bouncing at 80%, they're going to keep sending it to you, because that's what they see landing on your page. If you take, I'm fascinated by that, mate. Like, if you take the analytics snapshot of it and you say, let's trim this out until we get to a point where we're having 25 or 30% bounce, now scale that rather than scale it when we're bouncing. Man, that's huge straight away right there.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when they're running their campaigns, they just neglect that information. And I typically send, when I'm doing a clicks to website campaign, I mean, we're looking at anywhere between 100 clicks in a day to a couple hundred a day. And it will take me 3 to 5 days for the average client before I'm able to decipher if I'm running the right type of campaign. And that's another thing that people forget here, is that when you're running any sort of ad campaign for the long term, you need to be able to run it for 7, 14, 28 days long here. A lot of people
just to get the feel for it.
Right, because you're truly testing your audience. Yes, you can have an instant winner out the gate. I've had campaigns where by day 2, we're already making thousands of dollars, and I'm like, I have no idea how that happened. But it happens. But there are plenty of campaigns that I run for both myself and my clients where it may take 2 to 4 weeks before we truly hone in on the audience that really wants this product or this service. And it's because we have to dig into the information.
This is such a key and crucial lesson, because if we look at, and again, we're talking to affiliates here, if we look at the typical person running Facebook ads, they'll run it for 2 days, and
Kill
then
it.
they'll kill it because it hasn't made them any money and they can't afford to keep running it. If
Right.
it's, so, and it doesn't matter what your budget is. If your budget is $10 a day, then it's $10 a day. It doesn't matter what your budget is, but you've got to be able to get a longevity of data here. You've got to be able to go into this with a thought pattern. Obviously, if you've got if you're getting $100 per click or something, then you want to keep that fairly trimmed down. But that's not the case in most Facebook traffic. And you need to be able to go into this with the expectation that it's going to take a few days to be able to fine tune this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And the thing that most affiliates forget is that the data you gather for one campaign could make it even more successful for when you run the next one. And it could be for the exact same product owner. So let's say, for example, Walter, you produce a product this month and an affiliate puts together a campaign. They do the pre-sale page. They do everything right, but they can't get people to go and buy. Well, it could just be the positioning of the offer, the way they've positioned it, or it could just be the targeting. But they need that data to figure out why things are happening the way they are.
Right.
And once they make the right, tuned audience, or they figure out how to position the offer, and they see that first sale come in, nothing is stopping them from running this exact same campaign 30 days later when you decide to do a relaunch or a new product or whatever it may be. They have the process down perfectly. So you should not quit on a campaign just because it hasn't generated a sale immediately. Sometimes that data can give you something that can hit you, you can give you that golden nugget for the next campaign or for something that will occur 2 or 3 weeks later. You really just need to look into your data, analyze it, and figure out where it is that people are interested in what you have to offer, and then just keep hitting those people with that offer over time.
I love it. I love it, mate. Can I talk about targeting on 2 different levels with you? First of all, keeping it generic. I mean, the people who are watching this can be affiliates in any kind of space at all. I want to talk on 2 levels. First level is when I get a product, the initial targeting. How do I create the audience? How do I target specific people? And then secondary, and bouncing off what you just said there, once I've got some data, how do I fine tune that targeting? So let's start with the first one. I've got a product. It looks great. It's got a good payout, for me as an affiliate. How do I begin my targeting?
Right. So let's say we are doing an internet marketing product here, right? So most people in our industry follow specific personal brands, or maybe they come up for a generic marketing topic, right? Internet marketing does come up as an interest in Facebook. But that's also the broadest of the broad when it comes to your interests, right? Now, most people, when they run their ads, they'll just start plugging in a bunch of interests, that seems to be most relevant to internet marketing. And I'm just going to fire away here because I do this so often. You could be like Perry Belcher, Ryan Dice, Frank Kern, Mike Filsame, Andy Jenkins. And these are interests, but they're people's names. So what does that mean? Well, I'm not Ryan Dice. And I'm not promoting a Ryan Dice product. So a lot of these Ryan Dice people may not care what it is I'm promoting. It's not always the case, but a large percentage may not care. So you have to consider the audiences that you are punching in here. Now, when you have a offer that's already converting, yeah, you could start firing away everywhere that you want, because now you're just pinpointing those who are interested to your offer. You're just picking them apart. But in the beginning, what I would do, and I suggest this, if you're going to create interest campaigns, whether it's for men, women, 25 and over, 18 and over, you really need to figure out the 5 or 10 interests you really want to target, but don't put them all into one ad. I segment all of my ads by 1 or 2 interests at a time, because if you don't know which interest is generating you the click or the one that's generating you the sale. You start to put 20 interests into one ad set. Now you're just sending traffic, but you don't know which interest generated you the traffic. It could have been coming from one.
You have one ad. It's got a headline. It's got the body. It's got the graphic. You have one ad, and you maybe put 1 interest or 2 maximum into that campaign. Then you add another ad set to that campaign. So your budget stays the same, right? So we're going to say like it's $20 a day for the whole campaign, right?
Right.
So you will set the same ad against different interest sections, under that one campaign banner to see which one's running the right way. Yeah.
Right. So let's say you have $20 a day. That's a good benchmark for most of the people that I work with. I say you need to run at least $20 to $25 a day. So what could that mean? Well, that could mean 4 to 5 ad sets at $5 a day, right? That's $20 to $25 a day. And what you might find is that ad set 2 and 3 are the ones getting you all the clicks and the sales. So you turn off ad set number 1, 4, and 5. But the only way you would know this is if you segmented everything from the beginning. So a lot of people, they like to cluster or bundle up their interests, which is fine when you need a large audience to target. You can bundle up a bunch of interests and the audience could be 100,000 people. But then there are plenty of interests where you cluster them together and you might have 10 million.
Yeah.
So for these large interests, Frank Kern, Ryan Deiss, for example, 200, 300,000 people come up as an as an audience size from one interest. So why bundle them together when you already have a large sample size to target?
I think people go wrong, and that's such a cool piece of advice, because people go wrong because they go, I'm just going to throw everything in there because I get excited by the fact that the audience size go, whoa, now we're not targeting 100,000, let's target 10 million. I think people go wrong with that. It's amazing to think that just purely from a how do you know what's working point of view, you can spend a lot of money if you're not setting that up right and keeping tabs on it from the start.
Right. And an audience size of 100,000 or 400,000 people, if you're only spending $5 a day, it will take you months before that audience is completely been used up, because you're only going to target 800 to maybe 2,500 of those people a day. So why go ahead and create a larger audience of people that is so broad that you don't know where the traffic or the sales are coming from?
Beautiful.
So you need to really decide on who it is you are looking to target, whether it's by a personal brand or a generic interest. And in IM, that can be an issue because I personally have a saved interest list in my account of like 200 different internet marketing terms or individuals. And that could end up being, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a day if I just set up one interest for $5 a piece. Yeah, so a lot of people don't truly understand who their audience is because they never get the opportunity to target everything. So start small.
Start small and start outside of Facebook, right? I talked with Neil Merton about this, defining the audience to who is the ideal customer. If you just get a piece of paper, write it down. I think they're lawyers based in this country. Whatever. Like, this is the age, this is the demographic. If you can write it down, before you go into the Facebook environment and create one ad set specific to that group of people, and then try and expand that out in ad sets. I think rather than just go after, as you said, the broad, the large, and throw it all in one mix. If you can define it first, right? Am I hearing you right?
Right, exactly. And that's why Facebook has given you the audience insight tool. Look into the different interests and see what that audience is considered. It's like, is internet marketing all men who are 35 to 45? Well, if that's 90% of the audience, why are you going to go after the 25 to 35 or the 55 to 65? Just go after where the majority of that audience is. On top of that, is your offer extremely broad, or is it targeted to a type of occupation, right? So if you have a marketing offer geared towards real estate people, well, then maybe you can do an occupation-based ad where it's like the person is a realtor or a broker or an investor, but the interest is internet marketing. Well, now you have both. You're targeting that realtor who's also interested in internet marketing. So you're getting the 2 for 1. You're going after that core interest. Now.
And we've talked about bridge paging before, before the call we talked about you can bridge interests into something else. So just very briefly, we've got an offer over here and it's fantastic. And it might be as interesting to real estate agents as it is to furniture salespeople, but you need to bridge the gap between them. So when they land on a page, the page talks about them as a real estate agent and the benefits that a real estate agent will get from the product. Whereas the ad that you run to the furniture company, they land on a different page with a different headline that says, with the furniture industry being blah, 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 this is what you need to do, blah, 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 and sends them off to the offer, with furniture as their thing. So we talked about bridging, and I like that concept where you can bring people together. But what we're saying here is you've got to start with that audience, bring them, targeted in a particular way across. Do you have any targeting software that you prefer?
I use Ryan McKinney's Targetees. I've also used Ross Carroll's Insight Hero.
Yep.
And, even though those tools are great and I love them, I find myself often just doing it the most bare bones way possible, which is sometimes I look at that and I go, that's great. I have 50,000 interests here, but I need to still go into Audience Insights and maybe dig a little bit of my own and see what I could pull up just using my brain, right? Because we get very reliant on tools. And when these tools give you all these different interests, you think, oh my God, I have the gold mine here. Well, now you have 200 to 300 interests from a Targetees campaign. And you're like, okay, well, how many of these am I actually going to run? I might only run 5 to 10. So now I have to break down those again. And, the tools just give you a lot of ideas, but you still have to break it down. So I still find myself going into Audience Insights and doing my own research and then doing like a side-by-side and really deciding on what it is I'm going to run. But if I'm just looking for a very broad campaign, like if I'm running a t-shirt or a mug or a cell phone case or whatever it may be, I need a lot of interest. That's when you're technically going to start running cluster campaigns, as I call them, because you're trying to get a large audience. Well, then something like Targetees or Insight Hero can give you that giant list.
Yeah. So when you're talking about taking a product and running it to an interest, running it to a category of people, what we're saying here is if you're focusing on one interest with maybe a couple of intersects specifically, targeting by age demographic, targeting by gender, targeting by work role or position or whatever, you're going to actually be able to get better results or better data out of the back end than bundling all of that kind of interests together from some of the cool software that we talked about.
Right. And not to mention, when you're doing any sort of marketing or advertising offer, a lot of the different occupations have a different need for it, right? So with real estate, they want more leads. They want more people who are looking to buy or sell a home. So your video could be the same. Your targeting could be specifically to those individuals, but your bridge page or your pre-sale page needs to reflect their problem. Do you need more leads to your real estate brokerage firm? Yes, I do. Okay, so now you're targeting the realtors. They're going to see this and go, this fits me. I need to watch this video. And even though the video is exactly the same for the lawyers and it's the same for insurance agents and whatnot, the way that the copy is framed for that audience gets them more engaged right out the gate. And then you'll know whether or not that click has turned into a conversion or that optimized conversion has led to X amount of money earned from that promotion. You really need to decide on the audience you're targeting and reflect it on your page.
So it's not, and again, we talked about this before the call. A lot of people make the mistake. They grab a link, they drop it into Facebook, and they send their traffic to the sales page as a complete blanket, just please God, let me get a sale. Send as many hits as I possibly can. But in your experience and running hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Facebook ads, this concept of a pre-sale or bridge page, do you want to just spend a couple of seconds on that?
Yeah, so over the last couple years, Facebook has really started to crack down on where you send your traffic, right? So if you're setting up an ad and you're sending it to an opt-in or a sales page or a webinar registration page, so on and so forth, there's a lot of criteria that you have to follow in order to know whether or not, one, your industry fits their terms of service, whether or not it's compliant, and two, are you sending them to a landing page that is compliant in terms of their privacy policies, once again, their terms of service. And there's just a lot of linkage and policies that you have to follow before you're even sending out the offer. But with a bridge page, it's basically disguised as content, right? It's just a video. It looks like a blog post, You have all the necessary links in the footer that you need in order to be compliant. You know, terms of service, terms and conditions, privacy policy, contact us. It looks just like a regular website. But what you're doing is you're basically pre-selling, like I mentioned before, that individual who lands on your page before they go to the offer. And you're not sending them directly to a sales page, which Facebook does not enjoy that you do very often. So with that pre-sell, what are you doing? You're building up a custom audience of people who are interested from your ad. And on top of that, this audience can now be retargeted to wherever you want them to go. It could be to a second pre-sale page. It could be to an opt-in. It could be to and I've done this, it could be to a sales page, but it's disguised more of like another pre-sale page, right? And it really is dependent on what it is that you are including on that page. And for most affiliates, it just needs to be a video and then all the benefits of why they should click through, right? Perfect. And then it's a button. Perfect. And that is all you need.
You can use templates like Lead Pages. We talked about. There's a couple of great templates in there. The video sales letter and the what was the other one that we said was a great template?
The limited time promotion one.
Great. So there's some awesome templates out there. But you can also one of the things that I asked my designers to do at one point was just type in whatever industry you're in. So if you're in the health industry, type in health industry landing pages and see some examples, especially in Google Images. You'll see some amazing ways of setting those up. But the cool thing is you can have the bulk of the page the same, the video the same, the bullet points the same, the benefits the same. Just change the headline according to the interest that you're targeting, so that the real estate agent says, do you want more leads? Are you looking for leads of people selling their houses or buying houses? Yes, I am. Here's the spiel. Are you looking for people who have been injured at work for the work injury lawyer? You know, yes, I am. So the headline's really the only thing that needs to change there, and you can keep the bulk there. But important that you get a template together using some of these page designers. You can use OptimizePress or,
ClickFunnels.
ClickFunnels is a great one. Or, there's some WordPress plugins that are page builders, and you can literally just clone and you can drive them to the right URL. So I said there was targeting on two levels there, David. The first one is, as we talked about, how do I start? And we said start by narrowing down your demographics as much as you can. They are this age, they are this gender, they're this kind of people, and then pick one or two interests and see if you can intersect them. So we're talking about lawyers who like internet marketing, or Breaking Bad fans who are also iPhone 6 users.
Right.
That kind of intersect, right?
Exactly.
So if you can get that kind of thing, then you can really structure the bridge page in such a way that they land on the page and they go, oh my God, this is all about me. So that's a great way to get that initial targeting. Right. What we talked about before was when we start to analyze the data, we want to reduce the bounce. We want to make sure that our traffic's right. So now we've got all these campaigns running with different interests. How do we now fine tune that targeting?
So I'll use an example of a campaign I was running just a couple days ago. So I was running an internet marketing offer it was basically anyone who hit this ad was taken to a registration page, a webinar registration page. And I had 35 different interests I was targeting at $5 a day, right? From the beginning, just every single one was $5 a day until I found the ones that were scalable, the ones that were not bouncing, the ones that were generating registrations, so on and so forth. Now, how did I know which ones were generating the registrations and which ones were the core audience? Well, I let them all run for a minimum of 3 days, right? So at least 72 hours. Now, I know most people don't have the budget that I was running. Okay, I was running, I don't know, it was like almost $200 a day, basically, from the beginning. So by the end of the third day, I've already spent $600, right? I've already gotten my audiences together. I've spent $600, and a lot of it was actually failed, right? A lot of it was just, it didn't work out. But what I found from the data was that a lot of people were 35 to 55. I found that a lot of them were interested in a lot of these internet marketing personal brands, not general, but specific individuals. I found that the majority of my registrations were coming from iPad tablets and mobile phone, iPhone, not Android, not desktop. They were all coming from people on an iOS device. And because of that, I switched all my targeting to be an iPhone or a iPad tablet who were 35 and over and males. But I left all of my interests the exact same the way they were. I just cut off the ones that had 0 conversions over those 3 days. And what happened? Well, now my cost per conversion dropped like $2.50 over the next 7 days because I was targeting those who seemed the most interested based off of those interests after the 3-day test. And I knew exactly what device they were on and what gender they were.
So you kept the interest open, but you turned off anybody, like you narrowed down the age bracket, you narrowed down the device that they were using as the best guess, because we're not trying to get everybody, are we? I mean, there's somebody in that under 24 that's interested. There's somebody on an Android device that's interested, but we're not trying to get everybody. We're trying to get the biggest segment that we can and put all of our money into that best chance. Is that kind of your philosophy?
Yeah, and I mean, you might still get a large quantity of opt-ins or registrations, and they may not always generate the sale. But media buying is as much a numbers game as it is a guessing game, right? So from the beginning, you are guessing, because you don't have any data yet, what audience is going to generate you that sale. You're using your best knowledge from all the data you gathered in the past, but you're starting fresh again, right? And you are having to guess based off of this information which ones are going to generate the sale. Now, once you've done a couple of test rounds, now you have the exact audience who has generated a registration or an opt-in or a sale, and you're just going to scale from that information, whether it go from $5 to $10 a day, or in some cases 50 to 100 or 100 to 1,000. I mean, it really depends on how much information you've gathered from all of your tests, so that by the time you get towards, the very end of a campaign, you only have the data from people who've bought. Perfect. And when you're able to have that information, you're now creating ads that only generate sales.
Awesome. And you have to have that initial hit of bulk so that you can fine tune it down. I love the philosophy, mate. David, if we had the chance, you and I, to grab, so I'm going to give them to you. If you had the chance to have somebody brand new, they're excited about affiliate marketing. They've heard that people making millions of dollars a year, and even $100 a week would be an amazing thing for them. If you had the chance to sit that person down for just your last ever 30-second talk on Facebook marketing that you're ever going to give to anybody on affiliate marketing, what would be the last 30 seconds of advice that came out of your mouth, that most important 30 seconds you're ever going to deliver to a new person? What would you say?
Don't be scared when you get started. Most people freak out when they run their first ad and it fails miserably. The thing about Facebook ads is that most people get scared immediately upon running their first set of ads. And I know this may be very basic for a lot of people, but running ads are it's scary because you're spending your own money, and you might spend $1,000 and never get it back. And you might spend $10,000 and never get it back, but you have to be strategic. You got to be smart. Start small, but start. The point is, you run $5 to $10 a day, maybe 20, and you learn from everything that you've gathered running that campaign to become a better advertiser. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that's not going to disappear are ad platforms. So learn to analyze the data you're gathering for yourself, and you become a better marketer and advertiser for your own stuff down the road versus just everyone else's product. So when I promote your products, Walter, it's going to be a lot easier for me to promote my own, because I know from my own experience what I've done for you that could better my product down the road as well.
Absolutely. And if you can get it right on one, you can learn. If you can get it wrong on one, you learn as well. It's a way to go. A lot of people, David, taking that piece of advice, which I think is probably the biggest stumbling block for people in Facebook ads, is that the fact that they get scared. And everybody in this space, if we're talking about, the Chris Records and Don Wilsons and yourself, and the guys that are really, really good at this stuff, they always kind of talk about the small budget. We always say, $5 a day or $10 a day or up to $20 a day. And we're saying this is the beginning. But taking that piece of advice, it's not $5 that you need to put aside, because at the end of the day, if that $5 is spent and you haven't made a sale, don't switch it off. If you're talking $5, it's not a financial limit you should be setting from what the feedback there, it's a day limit. So we should be talking about it's $5 for 5 days, or it's $5 for 10 days, you know.
Right.
So when I set a campaign, I'm setting 50.
Exactly. And a lot of affiliate promotions take what? They take 7 to 14 days most of the time, because the launch might be only a week. It might be 2 weeks. If you're a well-known individual, you're doing a full-fledged launch, and that could be 3 weeks long, but you are competing with noise, right? You're competing with everyone who's running a campaign at the same time. So you, being the smaller advertiser at the moment, have to be creative, right? If you're only spending $5 to $10 a day, what are you going to do that's going to get you the click versus someone like me who's running $100 a day, right? So you have to be smart here. At the same time, because you are the new kid on the block, what are you going to offer to these people who click over that I'm not offering?
Sure.
And that way you're getting the best information immediately upon running your ads, because you're being the most creative, and you're also not known enough yet that anyone who clicks over, you really have to sell them on why they should be buying something from you as an affiliate, right? So this really challenges you to understand your data, because you are spending less, and because you are really digging into the information more than a bigger advertiser. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I might generate 1,000 clicks in a day, but never truly get down to the 100 people who may have generated a sale, right? I may just look at it and go, oh, there's 200 people here who've clicked over the sales page. I'm just going to target them, when I should have been looking at the 50 people that bought.
Right.
But because you're spending less, you're going to be able to dig into the information and know exactly who it is you're trying to go after. So the whole point behind that is you need to set aside a certain amount when you're running a campaign based off of the length of that promotion. So if the promotion's 14 days and you want to spend $20 a day, then you know you need $280.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
If you're going to run something that's more evergreen, something that's not going to end anytime soon, I always tell people, $10 times 30 days is what? It's $300. That's how much you need, at least for the whole month, to run $10 a day minimum. And that's how much you should set aside. And that's just to get started.
Yeah, for sure. Because from there you can scale. And that evergreen promotion is it's tough, as you said, to run a full-on campaign for a 5-day launch. It's tough unless you've got the data already from previous campaigns. If you've run, let's say, for example, a particular type of software that's aimed at a particular type of demographic. I'm trying to keep it generic. If we say, people who are interested in internet marketing as a rule, they want traffic, they want, rankings, they, different things. If I've run a campaign on a previous product, then I have data that I can start with. If it's only a 5-day launch on the next product that comes out, I can use the conversion pixels. I can use the tracking data from something that's been in a similar space before. So even if you didn't make a sale on that previous campaign, as you said, and there's going to be another product in that space, you have all of that information that you can then bounce straight into the next one. If it's a straight out launch, you're new in the space. You've got no history or background. It's tough to get traction. Hand on heart, I would say pick something more evergreen. Don't try and run an ad budget on a 5-day campaign in the space that you've never been before, because you're just going to get swallowed up and you're going to burn money, unless you're a whiz kid genius. And chances are you're not. If you're watching, like I'm not, chances are that you're not. If you are, awesome, good luck. You don't need to be talking to David right now. But if you're part of the majority of us, there's a phrase which is basically says, pick the fights you can win, right? Don't try and compete with people who are spending $1,000 a day on a 5-day launch when you're getting started at $10 a day. Go after more winnable campaigns in broader markets where you can strategically plan something out over 2 weeks or 30 days. Yeah.
Right. And this is going to be a little away from the norm here, but a lot of product owners in our space do have a product that's still out there post-launch. Yeah. Not everything is closed down, right? So let's say you promote a product for 14 days. It's the big launch. Everyone has seen it. Everyone has seen it, all that good stuff. So in essence, the promotion's done. Everyone has stopped spending money on ads. What does that do for you? Well, now that opens up the possibility of you going after the people that those others did not target. It also
Absolutely.
cheapens the amount per click because no one else is running ads anymore. That's another thing people forget, is that when you're running ads during a promotion, they might be more expensive in the beginning. You know, your clicks might cost $1 versus 10 cents. Sometimes they might even cost $2 because everyone else is competing for the same click. So what happens? Well, first off, because the campaign is, dead to most people, what happens is that everything becomes cheap and you're able to run your own tests without anyone interfering. And at the same time, because the promotion's over, it's probably the highest cost to buy the product now. So your sale amount, your affiliate commission is going to be higher. So if you're running a campaign for $1,000 product and you have your pre-sale page and you have all your interests ready, if I spend $500 and I'm gathering all this data, I'm extremely happy because all I need to do is generate one sale and I'm getting 50% and I've broken even. At the same time, I now have $500 worth of data to allow me to run this same thing over and over and over. And I'm building a list or I'm building a custom audience or whatever it may be. Stop thinking about just the sale and start looking about what you're accumulating for data so that when you do your next campaign, you might spend $100 and generate a sale. And if it's $1,000 product again, you're making $400 a pop for every $100 you're spending.
If you're collecting the data, you're never losing.
Exactly.
All right. So the big lesson there is, guys, you could just got to absolutely be collecting the data. Do you use anything specifically for link tracking, David? Do you have a preferred platform there?
Yeah. So I use two. I use Improvely if I'm doing like funnel tracking with the tracking link alone. But I also use a platform called Quality Click Control by my friend Jason Benoit. And that is if I'm using it primarily for affiliate campaigns, because its sole purpose right now, it's being built into a more robust platform, but it does a phenomenal job with just link tracking.
Nice.
And if you're only Quality Click Control.
Quality Click Control. Okay.
And it does a phenomenal job with link tracking because its primary goal when it was first built was to track only links, not funnels, not bridge pages and all this other crap. It's basically link tracking. That's where it started, and because of that, it tracks everything down to the visit. I mean, it gets you the most concise information you can, and it works well for affiliates. I mean, once you start getting into deeper stuff like funnel tracking and pop under tracking and all this other stuff, now you need something more robust, which QCC is going to turn into. It's being developed into something larger. But if you're looking for bare bones link tracking, I think it's a wonderful platform to use.
Awesome. Thank you, mate. David, I don't want to wreck the rest of your day I would be happy to talk this all night, but I want to keep it short and punchy for you. So I'm going to ask you two questions lastly just to finish off. The first one is, if I took away your data set, if I started you again with no list, all you had was the knowledge that you've got in your head, and I said, here's an affiliate promotion, let's see if we can make some sales. How would you start? What would be your process?
So if you took all of my data away, I still have a Lead Pages account. So I would create a pre-sale page or a bridge page, and I would take the time to create a video of myself in front of a camera, sort of like what we're doing now, but explaining why what I'm about to show them is important for their business. And I'm not being, scammy or salesy. I'm going to be like, here's why you need to buy Walter's product. It's done A, it's done B, it's done C for me. Here's the results it's garnered for my business. And my belief is that it works well for you too. And here's another reason why. And just keep breaking it down. But I'm being human, right? I'm being human with the individual who's coming to my page. So I've built out that content. I've built out that video. My page is set up. I'm going to go run a video ad because right now, video views are costing me 0.2 of a penny a piece. That's my campaigns. That's not the norm. But let's just say a penny a view. Okay, well, a penny a view is a little insane. And if you know how to create whiteboard style videos as well, Well, your thumbnail could essentially be, if you don't click this video, you're insane. Oh, what's that going to do? It's going to get people to watch your video. Okay,
Nice.
they've clicked it, and now I'm going to tell them why they need to click through. And because I'm doing that, and I'm getting views for a penny a piece, $5 a day is going to get me a lot of views. And at the same time, if I am giving them what they want to hear, they're going to click through. So I will gather a massive custom audience from videos alone, because I will be building a custom audience of people who have viewed my video and people who've watched it all the way through. And that audience could be 10 times larger than if I just did a clicks to website campaign or a website conversions campaign. So I could rebuild all my data in a matter of days by doing video campaigns and spend much less. Now, of course, it's going to take some finagling to get the right type of people to click through, but it's also the least barrier of entry because I'm able to spend much less and possibly get the same amount of clicks or click-throughs from the video, because I'm running from the most bare bones setup I possibly can.
I love it. If I've got any piece of advice, it's get your pen and paper and rewind for the last 2 minutes, because what David just said is absolutely gold. Mate, I promised you only 2 questions. The last question I have for you is, how can people get hold of you? I think the wisdom, the information that you've given in this session is just absolutely priceless. And I'd love for people to be able to get hold of you if they wanted to get in touch, to talk to you about engaging with your services. How can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
So if you are looking to work with me on a service basis, you can go to rampify.com. That's rampify.com. That's my service business. If you want to just connect with me, you can find me on Facebook. You can just search David Schloss. That's SCHLOSS. And all the platforms that I'm on, I mean, I link to them on Facebook. So my email and my contact info is on my site. And if you want to talk to me on a day-to-day basis, you could just go to Facebook. And I post tons of stuff on Facebook on not a daily basis anymore, but when I do post something, it is something engaging and educational. So if anything, I would suggest following me on Facebook.
I'll make sure there's some links to those 2 sites, your Facebook profile and Rampify, underneath this video. Mate, I cannot thank you enough for the wisdom here. If anybody has any questions, they can come in, they can reach you there. I know that David has a product coming out very, very soon in regards to a complete A to Z of how to start with Facebook ads, how to run ads, how to get the tracking right, how to get the pixels and everything. And I'll be sure to let you guys know as soon as David makes it available to the public. Mate, thank you so much for your time. I really value it. Is there anything as a last throwaway that you want to just throw out to people who might be watching?
Yes. So I just hinted on video ads and why they're so important. I know a lot of people get camera shy when they're doing videos. And believe me, this took me a while to get used to, being on camera, talking to people and truly just being comfortable with it. If you have to start from the beginning, you want to run a video ad, you don't have to be on the camera. It could just be a whiteboard. It could be a PowerPoint, a keynote presentation with text on it and you talking. But I 100% agree with the fact that you need to start running an ad now, but you do need to start running a video ad, because it's the cheapest way for you to dive into an audience without having to blow through a budget for clicks or conversions. It just gets you started. And not to mention, if you put yourself in front of the camera, now people are going to know who you are. It's branding at its finest. Don't care what the quality's like, just get in front of people. And over time, your affiliate campaigns or even your personal campaigns will start to generate what it is that you're looking for, whether it's more clicks or more conversions. Just start getting in front of people and it'll improve over time.
Unreal. David Schloss, the gold digger of Facebook and YouTube ads, the man who can find the veins of gold absolutely anywhere. Mate, thank you so much for your time. I really value it. Again, I'll put the links to David's sites underneath this video. And mate, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. This is Walt Bayliss and David Schloss talking affiliate marketing and Facebook advertising specifically. Stay tuned for more affiliate marketing information. We're going to bring you as much wisdom and information to make your affiliate career a success as we possibly can. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers.